James Holder, Fryfield TV, in association with Matt Jim Mabar. Quite fortunate enough to be joined by Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year, Mr. Joe Gallagher. How are you, Joe?
Hi James, you okay?
I'm very well, sir.
How's the jet lag treating you?
Do you know what? I feel alright. I think I've got used to it now. I think I'm sort of immune to jet lag.
Killed me coming back after Stephen Smith for a few days.
How long was that flight?
Flight back, well, we had to go to Boston to fly to New York, to fly to Manchester, and
it killed me. Surprised, Joe. You've done 21 hours on a plane, mate. I'll be jet lagged as well. You know what I mean? Big night for your fighter, Anthony Crolla defending his WBA world title at 135 pounds against ISMAEL Barroso, the mandatory challenger. Very dangerous fighter, as the odds with the bookies would reflect. How has the camp been in this? I know everyone says it's been the best camp, etc., but how is Anthony genuine himself, and how has the camp been for this?
Yeah, well, listen, camp as always do the basics well, and then when it comes to sparring, obviously it was hard at first to grasp the southpaw style, and brought in certain sparring partners, and it took a while for the penny to drop, but over time, like anything, practice makes perfect, and he's getting it now. He's getting the rhythm, he's getting the shots to avoid, the shots to land, and we're there, and I'm really looking forward to it. The camp, it was unfortunate that obviously I had to go to America for Stephen for a week, but what we did is we started sparring further out, and he had a good 4 weeks sparring before I went to America, came back, and then we kicked in sparring then for the last 2 weeks, and now that week's break freshened him up and brought him back in again, and it's been a good camp.
What do we know about ISMAEL Barroso from his victory over Kevin Mitchell? In your opinion, do you think that was the best Kevin Mitchell he could have faced?
I think.
How do you assess that?
Yeah, I thought Kevin Mitchell. I thought he was boxing very well. I thought he was controlling things. His feet, his movement, his distance was doing very well, and he was beginning to make Barroso a little bit frustrated. It was just as he circled off to his left and he came in on a jab, Barroso beat him to the shot and he walked onto it, and from that then he never really recovered. It took an assortment of shots on the ropes, and Howard Foster stepped in, which reminds me, Howard Foster is refereeing this fight. I'm having a word with Howard Foster to, obviously with like the John Murray-Anthony Crolla fight, Anthony Crolla's got to be under some stick in the early rounds. We've got to weather that storm and come through it, and to give Anthony every opportunity he can do to come through that. But yeah, I thought Mitchell was good that night. I think a lot of people saying, oh, Kevin was shot, that's why he's good. And I thought, no, Kevin was boxing well there, and he showed me things in that fight where Barroso struggled with. Obviously Barroso was been watching Crolla, very confident, plenty of power. Like I say, he's had 10 knockouts on the bounce. He's not been at points in 5 years. So, but he's had 2 draws on his record. He's been a pro 11 years. And it was that bigger punch. I know he joined the Who Needs Him club, but I'm sure he would have made inroads towards a world title before now. And there's a few reports that I get back from people in America that he can't take a shot. So it's up to us to maybe test his chin Saturday night.
Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year, as I mentioned, great accolade. Someone once told me you count the amount of right hands an opponent would throw in a fight. Is that true, Joe?
Yeah, listen, you detail, you break it down for fights and rhythm, shots, and you've got to study people and discover the habits and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like football managers, you can only give the tactics. It's up to the players and the boxers to go out there and carry it out, and what'll be will be. Your hands are tied then.
Across the pond, we've got AMIR taking on CANELO Alvarez. Absolutely massive fight, double header really, because everyone will be watching this, then Chisora, triple header, then over to Vegas. If I can ask your opinion, you know AMIR very well. What chances do you give AMIR of being victorious in Vegas?
Like anything, he's going into the Lions Den there. Just on a footnote of that, it's amazing that out of Gloves Community Centre there in Bolton, AMIR's headlining in America and Anthony Crolla's headlining here in the UK, 2 massive arenas.
I was waiting for this.
Just out of that one stop. For what comes out of there, and like I say, it's a huge night for the place itself. Liam Smith's just been over there sparring AMIR for 2 weeks. He says he's in good shape. The game plan they're working on, I think he'll have success with it. Like I just referred to earlier, it's all right, Virgil telling him and drilling. Once that bell goes and he steps down, Amir's in there. It's up to Amir to stay focused. Very much like Anthony Crolla on Saturday night, you've got to stay focused, don't get played to the crowd, and go in there and stick to the game plan. Like anything, and it's a common saying, everyone has a game plan till they get smacked in the mouth from both Alvarez and Barroso, smacked very hard. It's up to the lads Anthony Crolla and AMIR not to make sure they don't get smacked that hard and often, and that they manage to land their shots in the fight as well. But I think Amir's feet movement can give Alvarez problems. If you look at the fight with Mayweather was offsetting him all the time, but since then Alvarez has improved as well. You've seen that in the Cotto fight. So it's a real. If AMIR starts like he did with Madonna, disciplined and everything else, brilliant for the first 6 rounds. But like last weekend, we've seen James DeGale and Badou Jack go in 6 rounds. It's the last 6 rounds, and whether AMIR gets dragged into a fight like he did with Madonna, and like the other boys did at the weekend, that's where CANELO, you're giving him a chance to land the big shots, and we'll have to see what happens then.
As well as having Anthony Crolla on the card, you've obviously got Marcus Morrison fighting for his first title. Sweet Eminem, I know how much of a joy he brings you, having had him the whole of his career and stuff. Also, Callum Johnson, Callum the One, back in action. I know it's been a very hard time for Callum as well, so good sort of mixing, good members of the gym on this one.
No, brilliant. I'm so pleased that the show on Saturday night we've got Anthony Crolla top of the bill, but the likes like Marcus Morrison, who's coming through, a young kid, and he's looking up to the likes of Crolla and Quigg. He's getting his first title opportunity. He's off from the state in Hattersley, and I know he's a big City fan. City released him on the books, and the week City missed out on silverware.